Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. May Allah Azza wa Jalla reward you all for accepting and entertaining the invitation of Brother Badr. Allah barik fi, yuzil khair, and all the brothers that helped to put this barbecue together. It's always a blessing from Allah Azza wa Jalla that we're able to come together, right? Come together upon food, upon whatever it is. The main thing is that the hearts come together, the brothers see each other, renew that relationship, that brotherhood among them. For indeed, this is something that is encouraged in Al-Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said in the Quran, فَأَصْبَحْتُمْ بِنِعْمَتِهِ إِخْوَانًا. You became brothers to each other by His ni'mah, by His blessing. So Allah Azza wa Jal, He mentions that such a gathering among the believers is a blessing from Him. And the blessings, we're supposed to thank them. So if we thank them and we say Alhamdulillah for this ni'mah, then there are two things that happen. Number one, Allah maintains the brotherhood. And number two, Allah increases it. So perhaps next year we have a lot more. MashaAllah, ma ma'arif. Lakin we ask Allah Azza wa Jal that He accept from us and always bestow His mercy and forgiveness upon us. طيب يا وينه شو اسمه؟ إبراهيم تعال شوف لي هيدي وقفت يلا طيب. He's going to fix this. I'm going to ask you a question. The first question is this: when was the last time you learnt al-wudu, which is ablution for the prayer, and the prayer itself? Shuf, I'll tell you something. For the vast majority of Muslims around the world, the last time they ever learnt how to make wudu and salah was when they were 7, 8, 9, 10 years old at their parents' house, and that's if their parents prayed. And if their parents did not pray and they decided to pray, they just picked it up from someone that is praying next to them. And only a few have actually sat down in a course and learnt how to pray and learnt the proper way of making wudu. And even fewer than that revise this knowledge once a year or every time and time again. And so, since that is the case, and Allahu A'lam, when was the last time you learnt the proper wudu and the proper salat, I decided that for this time when we gather here at the farm, we wanted to go through a practical exercise on how do we make wudu in a very simple manner, what is accepted and what is right, and how do we pray, and what is basic and what is correct in the sight of Allah Azza wa Jal. And of course, you all know, or if you don't know, the very first thing a person is questioned about on the Day of Judgment is his salah. There's a very first question on the Day of Judgment. It's not going to be about anything except a salah. Can you imagine how many things did you discuss in the day and in the night today? How many things did you discuss yesterday? How many things did you watch on the news today and yesterday, and how many reels did you see, and how many interesting things you went across and you like to discuss with someone and another? All of that will not be the first question on the Day of Judgment. Whatever sparked your interest today, that won't be the first question. The greatest interest and the greatest passion you should have every single day is concerning your wudu and your salat, because that's the first question. Believe it or not, the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, when he questions the slave about his salat, did you pray 5 prayers a day? And did you perfect them? And were you sincere in them? When he asked this question, if your salat was right, you showed concern, and it was established correctly, guess what? Everything else you did of the good is all accepted. It doesn't matter, it's broken, mkassar, you came with half a deed, kullu accepted, all of it. But if the salah itself was ruined, there was no care, there was no concern, you got no clue, am I praying right, am I not praying right, it doesn't matter as long as I did the moves and I got up and finished and we moved on, it didn't show interest, no care, then believe it or not, everything else you did of good, even if you perfected, will all be cancelled, and there is no point for it on the Day of Judgment. For how important is a salat? Very important. That's why it was the first pillar in Islam after Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. And you all know the key to the paradise is la ilaha illallah. But that key, you know how every key has teeth? The teeth of the key are the prayers. So if you've come with the key, I said la ilaha illallah, but إذا ما صليت, if you did not pray, that key is not going to open any door. So the prayers are the teeth on that key that insha'Allah ta'ala will open the doors of Allah's mercy and open the doors of the paradise for you and I. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to accept. And one more thing, and that is, there was a man during the time of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he entered the masjid. And this is very important hadith. I really need you to pay attention to it. You'll understand why this is important. So he prayed, he got to a corner, Allahu Akbar, and he finished his salah. And then he walked up to the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam who was sitting on the side. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said to him, "Irji' fasalli fa innaka lam tusalli." And look, go back and pray, because that's not a salah. Go back and pray. You didn't pray. Well, he went back and he began the salah, the normal salah he's learnt. He finished, he came back. When Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said to him, "Irji' fasalli fa innaka lam tusalli," go back and pray because that wasn't counted for you as a salat. He went, he prayed for a third time, he came back again, and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam for the third time says to him, "Go back, pray again, that's not a salat." Finally he gave up, he said, "Ya Rasulullah, inni la uhsinu ghayraha." I don't know how to pray better than this. That's what I know. Then the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam sat him down and taught him how to pray. He taught him how to pray. You know what we learn from this hadith? Not everyone that does the actions of a salah is considered someone who prayed. So maybe you're making the actions of a salah, ruku', sujood, and maybe that salah is not a prayer. Could be possible. It all depends on what you've learned and what you're applying. So very important to sit down. It's like now, imagine we're in that time of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and we're attending this gathering, and when Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam is going to be teaching this man how to pray. And of course, that man was missing something very important in his salah. I mean, he was doing ruku' and sujood and all that we do, but he was missing a very important thing that, believe it or not, so many people are missing today as well. And we'll get to it when we get to the prayer. But of course, there is no salat without wudu. So inshallah ta'ala, we're going to start with al-wudu and how to make wudu. So pay attention, focus, look. Don't rush the questions, because if we haven't got to something specific, I'll get to it. Then perhaps your answer or your question will be answered, and later on we'll give you the chance to ask your questions. So at the very beginning, when we want to make wudu, we're always encouraged to make wudu for every salat. That's a sunnah. Well, wudu, this is going to wash away sins. As I'm washing my face, the sins of the eyes are going to come out. The sins of the ear, the sins of the tongue, all this is going to be washed. Anything you touched haram, any comment that you made that was haram, kullu, it's all going to be washed when you wash the hands, and so on. So when we want to begin, the first thing we want to say is Bismillah. Bismillah. Even if you're in the bathroom where there is a toilet, if there is no obvious najasa in the toilet, it's been flushed, everything's finished, and you're in there, you're allowed to say Bismillah, no problems. If you're in the shower, having a shower, you can say Bismillah, there's no issue in that whatsoever. So that's the first step. You remember to say Bismillah. If you forgot and you didn't say it, no problem. What you're going to do of the wudu is accepted. Then the first thing we want to start with, and I got the watch here, I'm going to remove the watch, and then we're going to raise the sleeve. Sometimes people don't have a sleeve like this, so you'd be fine in this step. But I'm going to raise them so I can show you how to make the proper wudu, inshallah. The first thing we want to start with is washing the hands. Washing the hands means from the wrist down to the fingers. So we're going to take water, that's some water here, and we're going to wash the hands like this. And when you wash the hand, you make sure that you go in between the fingers so that the water has reached in these parts here. طيب. Sunnah now is to wash the hands 3 times. This is sunnah, and if you did not do this, al-wudu is still accepted. So sunnah, but now we want to do sunnah. And this washing of the hands 3 times is a must in the first wudu you make when you wake up from a night's sleep. So if you slept that night and you woke up, now you want to do wudu for Fajr, you have to wash the hand 3 times. Must. I'll tell you what 3 times mean. Why? Because the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam says, because you don't know where your hands went at night. You could have went and touched a najasa, went as you're sleeping. Especially in the summer when things get hot and sweaty and people may scratch masalan or some najasa comes on his hand. And the hands, you're going to use these to make the wudu. So that's why you need to make sure they're clean so everything else doesn't get stained with any najasa. طيب. How do we do 3? You'll take water from under the tap and then you'll rub it with your hands. No matter how many times you rub here, that's all considered 1 time. All of this is once, right? And we don't want waswasa, you sit there for 1 minute for the first one. لا. خلاص, just once. And then you take again, move away. That's 2 times. And then we go like this. And then that's 3 times. خلاص, finished. From the wrist down. If you went up a little bit, doesn't matter. That's the first part of al-wudu after saying Bismillah. This is what I'm going to use to make wudu for my body. I've cleaned the tools. Now we're going to move to the second part of al-wudu. And that is known as at-tamadmud, wal-istinshaq, wal-istinthar. Basically what these 3 things mean is that now I'm going to rinse the mouth, the nose, and bring this water out from the nose. The way we're going to do this, once again, 3 times. 3 times, but the mouth and the nose we're going to do together in 1 handful of water. So, this is the water I take in 1 handful. I've filled up. Half of it will go into my mouth, and the other half goes into the nose. So half into the mouth, and the other half, you take it into the nose. That would be considered once. So let's do that, right? The water's gone in. The water that's in here is swirled around. That's the rinsing of the mouth. It's swirled around. And then with this hand, the left hand, you blow out the water that went into your nose. That's once. Again, we do this. That's 2 times. And then a 3rd time, you go like this, half, and we're finished. You know that sensation you have when you're in the pools and water goes in and you do this? That's the type of exaggeration you should be doing when you do water in the nose. The bare minimum, I'm telling you now, the bare minimum of the rinsing of the mouth and the nose for it to be accepted. This is the bare minimum. If you can't do what I did and you want the bare minimum would be water in the mouth and spat out. If you did, that's it. It would be considered that you have rinsed your mouth. If you put it in your mouth and swallow it, that's considered drinking. That's not rinsing, right? Unless you put it in your mouth, you swirl it around and you drink it, that would be considered right as well because you rinsed, right? So the main thing is, you got to do 2 of 3 things. Put in, swirl it, and then you can either spit it out, and if you swallowed it, it would be considered that you have rinsed your mouth. And then the nose, the bare minimum for the nose, the bare minimum would be to wet your fingers and wet inside your nose. See that? That is the bare minimum. If you did that, you are considered that you have rinsed the nose. And the greater form would be to take that water all the way in until you feel it up here where the moisture of the nose ends, up to here. And then you take it out with everything of the dirt and the mucus and whatever it is inside with your left hand. 3 times, and that's the max. Some people here, they do their mouth 3 times, then they do their nose 3 times. That's a total of 6. وهذا, keep away from that practice. Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah mentions 3 times, half in the mouth and the very same other half in the nose, and we have finished that process of rinsing the nose and the mouth. And pay attention, wallah, it is a very, very important step, this one. I tell you what's its purpose. So you can appreciate the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. You know, a lot of people when they get into sujood in their salah, they struggle. They can't sit there for long because there's blockage in his nose. So he's opened his mouth and he's breathing for his mouth, can't wait to get out from sujood. Nose is blocked. The wisdom of this was to clear up the airways fully, so that when you go into sujood, you're calm and relaxed and you can breathe from your nose and you don't have any troubles in the airways. You got the wisdom? Fantastic wisdom. Try it, do it next time, do that wudu properly, rinse that nose, get everything out, and watch how your sujood is going to be on another level. You'll find a lot of ease and simplicity in that, mashallah. طيب. So, wallahu a'lam, that was the purpose of this. So we've done the hands, and we've done the mouth and the nose, and that's 3 times. The next stage is to do the face. So now we're moving on to the face. And the face, brothers, starts from the normal hairline, and it ends right here. In terms of width, that's what the face is. From here all the way to here. And from this side, it's from the E here, all the way to here. So horizontally going, vertically going, it's from here to here. Horizontally from here to here, and vertically from here to here. Some people, they don't have a hairline that is normal. They have a receding hairline that starts from here. Or sometimes people have a hairline that starts from here. So in all these cases, your face will start from the normal hairline. The normal hairline of people is from here. So that's where you have to start washing the face, from here. So we're going to do that, and we take water in our hands, like this, and then we're going to wash the face. شوف هذا one. طيب. That's one. See how many times I'm going over? No matter how many times I'm going over, that's one. Because I only took 1 handful of water, and I'm doing this. Right. Wash down here, make sure all of this is done. Now concerning the hairs, al-bead and no bead and thick hair and light hair, what's the situation? The hair on the face is of 2 types. Light hair and thick hair. If you have light hair on the face, yani your bead is light, your moustache is very light, your eyebrows are very light in where the skin can be seen. If I look at you, I can see skin behind the very light hair. Then in that case, you have to wash the skin. So for people that have light beads, you have to get that water and rub it in. Make sure it gets to the skin. But if you have a thicker bead, like the one I have, or like you have thick eyebrows or a thick moustache, for example, then it's enough to just wash that hair and you don't have to wash the skin. So for me, when I get to my bead, it's enough for me to do this. See that? I didn't have to go and wash here, make sure water gets in here. No, even though this is part of the face. So if you're someone who has light hair and your skin can be seen here, then what do you have to do? You have to wash it, make sure water gets in there. And the one who has a thick beard, a sunnah would be that after you finish washing the face, you get hair, you get water in your hands like that, just a little bit, and then you go through the hairs like that, and then from here up like this. Haydi sunnah. It's called the takhleel, to put your fingers in between the thick hair, and that should be fine. Tamam. So far we've understood where we're up to. That was 1 time. I go again, and I do my face a 2nd time. That's a 2nd time. You can wash 1 time, that's the minimum. Let's say your water was very limited. You do once, it could be enough. And if you have water, you can do up to 3, and that's the maximum, no more than 3. And you can even wash 2 times. Everything that you wash in the wudu, 1, 2 or 3, and that's the maximum. So we've washed the face, we've finished. Now we have reached the hand. Want to wash the hand. Now when you do the hand, you have to do this part again. This part that you did at the beginning, you have to do it again. So you take water, like this, and then you raise it, and watch this. So I'm doing the hands now, the whole hand, and I would do this again. Wash it, make sure all the water comes. All the way until the elbow, as Allah Azza wa Jal says, إِلَى الْمَرَافِقِ, up to the elbow. And then, again, see this? I'm starting with the right hand. Now, you see, it's always better to take water from the tap to you and not put your hands under the water. Because if you do this, How would you know how many times you've washed? You probably went 3, 4, 5 times. Allahu A'lam, you can't count 3 times. So it's better to get the water to your limb, not your limb to the water. And that way you can count 3. We finish this, we've reached this hand, you can take it in this hand, no problems. And then we're washing this one. That's 1 time. This is 2 times. And this is 3 times for the left hand. And notice, I'm doing my hand again, the front of the hand again. Okay, we've finished, up to here. If you went a little bit up, no problems, but you need to include the elbow. Not here, you need to include the elbow. Because sometimes people have a shirt that hangs up to here. So he doesn't want to wear his shirt. So what does he do? He finishes up to here, he thinks it's all good. If this is dry here, your wudu is wrong. If the wudu is wrong, the salat is wrong. Got to get it right from the beginning. So whatever the case is, you wash the elbows. We finished and now we're up to the hair. Once we get to the hair, what we need to do here is we need to wipe. Everything we've been doing so far is washing. The hair is unique. Allah Azza wa Jalla says, وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ. Wipe the heads. بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ, this ba means make contact with your hand on your head and then wipe it. And everything that we wipe once. Everything that's washed, a maximum of 3, you can do 1. But everything that's wiped, you don't wipe 3 times, you wipe once. So now we're going to wipe the hair. We take water in our hand and then you can get rid of this water. Because you're not washing the head, you're wiping the head. Then you start from the beginning of the hairline and you go back to the last part of the hair. Not all the way, to the last part of the hair. Up to here. And when you finish from here, go back to the front. I'm going to ask you a question. Is that considered wiping once or twice? Shuf, And this? Once? Lash once. Because it's also correct if I did this. If I did that, that's correct. And if you did, that's also correct. So is this once or twice? It's once. It's once. Lash. Because when you do this, you've wiped this part of the hair. And when you do this, you've wiped the back part of the hair, and that's considered 1 time wiping the head. You understand? Okay. And if you did only 1 to the back, khalas, that's enough. When you do your hair, it's important that you follow that up straight with your ease. You don't need new water for your ease. So the same water you did your head, you now put your fingers inside here, and this one behind, act like this, and just a rub of water inside, khalas. I've done the head and the E once, enough. No more, 1 is enough. Afterwards, we come to the final part of al-wudu, so remove the shoes, and we're doing our feet. And once again, the feet, maximum of 3 times, a minimum of 1 time. So, you raise, and you start of course with the right, you get the water, and now you're washing. Make sure this is the most important part of al-wudu. Because this part here, a lot of people miss the back. And there is a hadith about the back. If it's missed, it becomes, or it's considered a major sin. Why? Allahu A'lam. But it's considered a major sin in the hadith. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, woe to the ankle. He said, woe, waylun lil a'qab. Al-a'qab is this here. Woe to this from the fire, if it's not washed properly. So we bring water and we wash. And making sure that water has reached the Achilles, the heels, and the ankle. How they're the most missed parts in wudu. The Achilles, the heel, and the ankle. So you go over those properly. And the other thing you got to do is you got to make sure water goes into between the toes. Hala, for people, some people that have skinny toes. If you put his water, if he's put his feet under the tap, like it reaches all the way in. But for some, the toes are fat. If the toe is fat, you're most definite that if you did this, the water's not going to get in between. So you have to go down with your finger, either the pinky or whatever it is, and make sure that you've got between each and every single one. So we do that 3 times, and we do the same thing to the other side. You take the water and you bring it to your foot, and you begin to wash the foot 3 times, shufha, in between, masalan, and You go from the back and you do that 3 times, or a minimum of 1 time for every foot, a minimum of 1 time. With this, I have finished al-wudu. That is the wudu of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam in its most complete version. Once you've finished, as you're still there in the bathroom, or you walk out, or you move away from the water, the sunnah is to say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, wahdahu la sharika lah, wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Then you add, Allahumma ja'alni min at-tawwabin wa ja'alni min al-mutatahhirin. The one who says this dua, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam says that the 8 doors of the paradise open for him. What a blessing and a huge reward. طيب. And there's another dua that could be said, Subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdik, Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. The one who says this after al-wudu, it would be a reward given to him that's sealed up, and it will not be open until the day of judgment, meaning a guaranteed reward, right? This is what we do. This dua that I said to you, I'll give you the name of an app you can download to your phone, and all this dua and dhikr is found in that app, so that you can slowly and surely memorize them and apply them in your life and earn maximum reward possible. But you're making wudu anyway. Might as well learn it and say it after every wudu. If you do it for 5 times, khalas, you'll memorize it. And if you do it every wudu after that, you would have memorized it. Khalas, it's part of it becomes a part of your life. طيب. We finished the wudu. When we want to begin our salat, of course, the very first thing is the intention. Well, the intention is in the heart. You don't say anything aloud. You don't say, Bismillah, I've intended as-salat. Now, salat al-dhuhr, 4 rak'at, whatever. Intentions in the heart. And that's enough. Ma'asal, if you've made wudu and you're coming towards your prayer area, you've already intended to make a salat. So that's not a complicated matter. When we want to begin, you want to stand facing the qibla. If you know the qibla, then you have to face the qibla. You face the qibla, of course your awrah has to be covered. I'm telling you now things that are called conditions of the prayer. When we talk about conditions, they're everything before the salah. Condition means what? Everything before the salat. Al-wudu, what we did, is a condition of a salat. Facing the qibla is a condition of a salat. Covering the awrah is a condition of the salat. So many. I've prayed in the masjid, your awrah is exposed. Either he's wearing shorts that are up to here, and when he goes down in sujood, the whole thigh is showing, salat is invalid. Or he has a shirt that's tight and short, so when he goes into ruku', what happens? The back shows. That back is part of the awrah. So the awrah is from the navel to the knees. From the navel to the knee, right? Doesn't have to include the knee, but always when you pray, wear something that covers the knee and beyond. Because when you go into sujood, at least it'll cover the awrah part. And of course the navel, that means everything behind. So that part of the back must be covered. Now if the awrah was exposed for a moment or two in the salah, that's fine. Let's say you went into ruku' and you noticed it went up and you quickly brought it down. That doesn't invalidate the salah. But if the awrah is exposed over long periods of time, the salah, it invalidates the prayer. You have to get up and pray again. So al-wudu, one condition, facing the qibla, second condition, third, covering the awrah, and which we said the men up to here. And also, for the men, there's something special and extra, and that is to wear something on your shoulders. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, لا يصلين أحدكم وليس على عاتقه شيء. Do not pray if there's nothing covering your shoulder. So you have to cover the shoulder. So you either wear a shirt, and some ulama mention it's fine to pray with a singlet. So if you're wearing a singlet, because a singlet is something on your shoulder, so if it's something on your shoulder, ma'nata, it's okay. But if you prayed without a shirt, then the prayer is still accepted, but it be makruh. It's disliked. Don't do it again, yani. But the prayer is correct. We stand, we face the qibla, and one final condition is that your clothes have to be clean. And your area has to be clean, and your body has to be clean. What we mean by clean is from najasa. So if there's najasa on your clothes, let's say a dog licked the clothes, or there's some crap of the dog on your clothes, that's najasa. You can't pray with this if you see it. You gotta clean it off. Or in someone's underwear, if there is najasa, you can see it, you can't pray with that. You must remove it, or wash it off, or wear something new. And your place of salah needs to be clean as well. So, salah place is clean, my clothes are clean, the body is clean. Now we are ready to begin our salat. All of this is preparation, because this now is the biggest meeting in your life with the Creator, with Allah Azza wa Jal. So Allah Azza wa Jal puts us in this kind of state. Go make wudu, face the Qibla, your heart faces Allah Azza wa Jal, and now you're in a position to meet Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Kind of like if you had an interview with a king or whatever it is. You're going to go in there, you've had a shower, you've put your perfume on, you're thinking what I'm going to tell him, and you enter in a good and a clean and a pleasant manner. The meeting is with the King of all kings. So you got to come presentable for that as well. We start, and now we want to begin our salat by saying Allahu Akbar and nothing else. Allah Akbar, wrong. Or Allahu A'lam, wrong. Or anything else is wrong. The only thing that is accepted is Allahu Akbar. We raise our hand, bring the fingers together, and the palm is facing the Qibla. So not like this, or like that, facing the Qibla, fingers together. So not like that, fingers together, facing Al-Qibla, closer to your body. So not Allahu Akbar from here, bring them close to your body like this. And finally, the tip of the fingers in line with the top of your E, and the bottom of your hand in line with your shoulder. See that? Right in the middle. So the tip of my fingers are at the top of my E, and the bottom of my hand is right in line with my shoulder. Perfect. That's it. From here. So some people, they start like this. Allahu Akbar. This is wrong. This is not even considered half a sunnah. This is something you've innovated. The correct way is to begin from here, all the way here, together, facing the Qibla, and you start and you say Allahu Akbar. Now, when you say Allahu Akbar, you can either do this and say Allahu Akbar, then move your hands into the position. I'm going to talk to you about this, but Allahu Akbar, then move into the position. Or you can say Allahu Akbar, or you can do them together. Allahu Akbar. See that? Any one of the three is fine, no problems. You choose what you like and what you're used to. But that's how we start. So we've said Allahu Akbar. We've began our salat. Now we are supposed to have our eyes in our place of sujood. So your eyes is looking to where you are going to make sujood, like this, right? My eyes are in the sujood. And another correct opinion is to look right ahead of you. So, Allahu Akbar. Bas. Either like this or like that. Nothing else. Which one is more correct? Which one's more right? Whatever you find khushu' in, do. And there is no doubt, most likely the one looking to your area of sujood is where the khushu' and the focus and the concentration is attained. So that's more recommended. You began. Allahu Akbar. Now the hands. The hands, the right goes on top of the left. And if left went on top of the right, no problems. But the sunnah is right on left. Now I have three ways of how I can put my right on the left. By the way, this was a sunnah of the messengers, all of them. They all used to do this. نَضَعُ أَيْمَانَنَا عَلَى شَمَائِلِنَا. We put our right hand on the left hand. Three ways. Number one, you put the palm with the fingers on the back of this one's palm and fingers, like this. I'll tell you where it is here. But first, we're saying about the hand. Like this. Shufat, look. See how it is? That's the first acceptable way. Second acceptable way would be to put the palm on this palm and the fingers on the wrist and on the arm. Like this. See that? See this? So instead of this, I just slid it down like this. So now, that's where I am. And the fingers have gone on the arm of the of the left hand. And the third acceptable way is to get your right and hold your left arm like this. You've held the left arm. Khalas. Right, so this one would be like this, and this is holding onto this. Then, where do we place it? We have three options as well. Either you place it on the sternum, here, like this. So if I chose this option, I'll be like this. Or you can put that on the navel itself, on the actual navel. But if you did the navel, this might not work now. You'll be onto this mode now, this one. Or the third opinion, you can have it under the navel like this. No problems. All of it is accepted, all of it, it's fine, and the salat is perfect. So you choose either here, or you go up here. And then you have this, or this, or this. Khalas, perfect. And we've said Allahu Akbar, and we've begun. Pay attention, I said to your eyes down there, or straight ahead. Khalas, nothing else. It is disliked to move left and right, to look down, shuf behind, what's going on the watch. All of that will begin to take away from the reward. Doesn't invalidate, salat's still right, but it's yallah, it's taking away hasanat. If you keep doing that, by the end, you probably have nothing left. So you gotta be careful. And one very dangerous move in the salat, when you're in this position, is to look up in the sky. Hadi, this one's worse. Hadi, concerning some scholars, is haram. When Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, people should stop raising their sight to the sky or to your ceiling if you're praying indoors, otherwise Allah will snatch away their eyesight. A very big warning. And it's rude. Like that, that's an arrogant look. Put your head down, lower it, and this is all part of the humility of the salah. So that's why we encourage looking down to the sujood, adds to the khushu'. It's like you're broken before Allah. And a hand that is underneath the navel is even more brokenness and more humility to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what the Imam Ishaq ibn Rahaway, which is the teacher of al-Bukhari, he preferred this. He said this is closer to humility, right? طيب, we've done. Now we want to begin, and we begin with dua al-istiftah, the opening dua to as-salat. Before the Fatiha, there's something to say that is a verbal sunnah. Yani if you skipped it, your salah is still right. But if you say it, you're taking now your salah on another level, and you're adding more and more hasanat to yourself. And there's a couple of things to say. One of the most beautiful things the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would always repeat when he began his salat, he'll say, Allahumma ba'id bayni wa bayna khatayai kama ba'adta bayna al-mashriq wal-maghrib. Oh Allah, make a distance between me and my sins like you have made a distance between the east and the west. Yani forgive my sins. Allahumma naqini min al-khataya kama yanaqqa ath-thawb al-abyad min ad-danas. Oh Allah, clean my sins like how dirt is washed off from white cloth. Allahumma ighsil khatayaya bil-ma'i wal-thalj wal-barad. Allah, wash my sins with hail, snow and ice. Complete forgiveness. There are others to say. What else? People commonly know. Subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa. Subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdik. Subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdik. Wa tabarak ismuka ta'ala jadduka wa la ilaha ghayruk. طيب. Also, you can say Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillahi hamdan kathiran tayyiban mubarakan fih. Very short. Also, you can say Allahu Akbaru kabira. والحمد لله كثيرا وسبحان الله بكرة وأصيلا. Good. You're now ready to start Surah Al-Fatiha. Or you can say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, ذو الملكوت والجبروت والكبرياء والعظمة. Good. You're ready to start. This is it. Now you're not supposed to say them all. You choose one of these narrated and you say it. And they're all in the app as I said to you. And it's good to mix up between them. If in Fajr you read one, maybe on Dhuhr you want to read another one. And by the way, this is very important because if you know them all and you switch between them in your prayers, you'll stay focused and you'll be able to achieve that khushu'. طيب, we've said our dua al-istiftah and we're still standing. And by the way, I forgot to tell you, your feet are shoulder length open. See that? Shoulder length open. So we don't want like this. Heather, this is wrong. or closed all the way like this is wrong, or doing like this and hanging on one knee like this is wrong. A straight stand, open it up to your shoulder length, and you've began your prayer. We've read the opening dua. Next comes what? Al-Fatiha. Al-Fatiha is a rukn, a pillar. If you don't read that, your whole salah is invalid. If you don't read it in the first rak'ah, and then in the second rak'ah you remembered it, you know what you have to do? You'll have to now do your 4 and you have to add another one, because the first one would not be counted. You'll have to add another one if you forgot the Fatiha and you remembered. So make sure you read it. After the Fatiha, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin, Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'een, Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim, صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. You say Ameen. Ameen means, oh Allah, accept. Oh Allah, answer my dua. You just asked Allah to guide you. So you say Ameen, oh Allah, accept it. And feel that this is guidance. That when you're praying, this is guidance. You finished Al-Fatiha. You gotta read the Fatiha right. Afterwards, you read some ayat of the Quran. And this is recommended. If you just said Ameen and now you want to move to the next, your salah is correct. It's fine. See, sometimes you got to be smart. Maybe you have an appointment at the airplane. You have to enter and you got 3 more minutes and you're able to salli. In this case, you want to just read Al-Fatiha and move. You want to get the bare minimums, and sometimes you can use this. But most of the times when you have the time, you pray and you read a surah. So we read, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. Alhamdulillah, we finished. Now we want to move into ruku'. Once again from here, I'll say Allahu Akbar. I'll put my hands up all the way here. Allahu Akbar. And I move down. And by the way, this Allahu Akbar, you say it as you're moving from here to here. So it starts here and it ends here. It is wrong to do Allahu Akbar. هذا غلط, wrong. Or تعمل Allahu Akbar, wrong. It's called takbirat al-intiqal. It's called the moving takbir. You have to start from here and end it there. So, Allahu Akbar. I'm here. Now, this is called al-ruku'. When you're in al-ruku', your feet are as they are. Your eyes are where the sujood part is. We'll do this, and we're going like this. We're like this. Our hands are on the knees and grabbing the knee. We're grabbing it. The hand is straight. Look, it's not doing like this. The hand is straight, and we're doing this. My eyes are focused into where the sujood is, and my back is very straight to the point if you put a bottle of water on the back, it will not spill. That's how straight the back needs to be. I'm in this position. What's wrong is to do this. This is wrong. Or enact Allahu Akbar like this, unless you have back pain. If you had back pain and you couldn't get all the way down, then the bare minimum would be something like this. Because this is considered ruku', it's not standing. This is the bare minimum. If you're too sick, you can't even do that, that's when we're going to be talking about a chair, right? But that has different rulings. But now we're doing the proper salat. So we're doing this. Okay. In here, I have to say, Subhana Rabbi al-Azim, at least once. That's the obligation, at least once. If you say it once, you're ready to come up. And now, remember the first hadith I shared with you? And I told you that companion was missing something, which damaged his whole prayer? It's something called at-tuma'nina, tranquility in the prayer, which means that when you get into this position, you have to wait until all the joints and the bones lock in their position. Yani, Allahu Akbar. Shoof, now I can feel this is locked in, knees good, the back is just settled. Hold it. This is a pillar of the salah. If you go Allahu Akbar, Subhan Rabbil Azim, Sami Allah, your salah is invalid because you didn't hold, your bones didn't have a chance to get into their position. That's why Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said to that guy, go back, because he was missing that. And whoever did this, his salah was invalid. So we go down, hold it. Subhana Rabbi al-Azim, Subhana Rabbi al-Azim, Subhana Rabbi al-Azim. Other things, Subbuh, Quddus, Rabbul Malaikati wal Ruh, Subhana Dhil Jabarut, wal Malakut, wal Kibriya, wal Azama. So many other things that we can say when we are in our ruku'. But if you don't know all this and it's going to be too hard, Subhan Rabbi al-Azim once is enough. And the best is to say Subhan Rabbi al-Azim 10 times. 10 times, right? And hold the position. Okay, so we're finished from here, right? The brothers on this end saw as well. We did this. We had the hands gripped, holding, grabbing onto this, and shoulder like this, and we're looking like this. Now like this, or up like this, or like this, or even having this. All this is wrong. That's how we do the correct ruku'. Now we're going to come up from a ruku'. We're in this position. We say, Sami Allahu liman hamida. Look, 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 where my hand's gone. Back up to right where we began. Back here. As I'm saying Sami Allahu liman hamida, all the way up here. And then from here, I drop it down. Notice, something like this would be wrong. Sami Allahu liman hamida. So the hand goes halfway. It doesn't have the energy to go up. It's just dropped from here. La, you would do that sunnah, go all the way up. You're better leaving it out than coming with half a hand up. Yani if you did, Sami Allahu liman hamida, that's good, no problems. But half, avoid this. You either do it right or avoid the whole thing. طيب. So we've come up. Now, I'll tell you when we get to the end part. So far, we've began our salat like that. We went into ruku' like this. And we came up like this. So far, with every movement, we've raised our hand. When you say Sami Allahu liman hamida, you have two options. You can either now put your hands back where you had it when you began the salah, or you can have it to your side. No problems what you choose. You can either do this, or you can either have it here. All good. Here, you'll say, and of course, your eye is looking to the sujood, and of course the head is tilted a little bit down. Forgot to tell you, from the beginning, the head, if you're looking down, you tilt the head a little bit down. As Anas radiallahu anhu narrated about Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When you're standing here, رَبَّنَا وَلَكَ الْحَمْدِ. That's the what? The bare minimum. And you can add ملء السماوات وملء الأرض وملء ما شئت من شيء بعد أهل الثناء والمجد أحق ما قال العبد وكلنا لك عبد اللهم لا مانع لما أعطيت ولا معطي لما منعت ولا ينفع ذا الجد منك الجد. Finished. Now we're ready to go down into a sujood. So we turn this. I want to go down in a sujood now. Hey, you gotta focus. We go down into sujood. We're from here. No more raising. Khalas. When you go from up to sujood, you go straight down. Allahu Akbar. Notice now. Whether your hand went before your knees or your knees touched the ground before your hand, all good. Don't make a too big fuss about this. Whether your hand went first and your knees second, or your knees first and your hand second, it's all good. So now, once again, Allahu Akbar from here, and I want to end when I'm down there. So, from here, Allahu Akbar. And I'm down in my position of sujood. When I'm in sujood, 7 bones must touch the ground. The first is the forehead and the nose. That's considered one bone. Second bone, third bone, fourth, fifth. The toes, that's 6. And the right toe, that's 7. We go down. Hands from the front is close to my body. So they're not like this. Or here. Bring them all the way here to next to my ears. Next to the ears. And in the back, the feet are like this. Like this. See that? You can either have them like this or like this. Both correct. Either like this, or like this. Touching together and the toes on the ground. هذا الcorrect sujood. And when you're in that position of a sujood, minimum is to say Subhana Rabbi al-A'la once. Better, 10 times. And you can add to that Subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdik Allahumma ghfirli, Subhanaka Allahumma Rabbana bihamdika Allahumma ghfirli. All the other ones that we said in a ruku', all of it, as I said, you'll find it in the app. That's your sujood. Make sure when you're in your sujood, your elbow doesn't touch your thigh. So we don't want a sujood that's like this. See this? Or something like this. These ones, avoid them. Raise your elbow and keep it tucked. If you're praying alone, you can open them up, because the Sahaba, they used to say, we used to see the whiteness of the armpit of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So if you're praying alone, no problems like this. Right? If you're praying alone, look, no problem. But if you're praying and there's people next to you, and that's going to irritate the people, and you tuck your hands in, you go like that. And if you pay attention, look, it's away from the body. Like that, away from the thighs. If you're praying, let's say Taraweeh, or praying behind someone, it's taking very long, and your hand is hurting, you may rest it on your thigh, no problem. If there's a reason, if you're shaking, if your hand is shaking, you can't hold it anymore, it's okay to do this. No problem. But that's not the default. طيب. So you're in your sujood. Subhana Rabbi al-A'la, Subhana Rabbi al-A'la, Subhana Rabbi al-A'la. Now you come up. Allahu Akbar. This is called Jalsat al-Istiraha. And by the way, you gotta wait there until all the bones settle, just like we said about ruku'. And when you come up from the ruku', you gotta wait until the bones settle. When you go into sujood, wait until the bones settle. And don't stretch your back, like this. هذا كمان, this is wrong, stretching the back. Bring it all compact with each other. طيب. Then we come up, Allahu Akbar. Now, the hands, the palm on this part of the thigh, and the fingers are on the knee, like this. Right? Like this, it's like you're gripping it. From this position we say what? Rabbi ghfirli, Rabbi ghfirli. Once, twice, 3 times. Rabbi ghfirli wali waliday. All of this is fine. The main thing is Rabbi ghfirli once. As the main thing. And hold that position. Rabbi ghfirli. Now notice the back as well. How is it going to look like? Your feet, the right, you're sitting on the left, and you've pegged the right, and the toes of the right are facing the Qibla. Facing the Qibla, and you've pegged this one, and you're sitting on this. If you can do this. If you can do this. If you can't do this, it's fine to let this the way it's relaxed and rested. Some people actually cannot do this. So you go down like this. You say Rabbi ghfirli, and then you go down again in a sujood, another sujood, Allahu Akbar. And as you're going from here to sujood, you're prolonging the Allahu Akbar. You start from here and you go down Allahu Akbar. Subhana Rabbi al-A'la, Subhana Rabbi al-A'la, Subhana Rabbi al-A'la. 10 times, 1 time, 3 times, all good. And then you want to come up and go straight up to your second rak'ah. But just to tell you something else, that sitting between the 2 sujood, you have another option with your feet. You may do this. Let's say I made sujood, Allahu Akbar, I can do this. That's a second valid option, do this. In that case, of course, my hands are on my thighs. Like this, and then Allahu Akbar. No problems. طيب. You finished the first rak'ah, you're coming up to the second rak'ah. Now, to come up to the second, you can do this. Allahu Akbar. You can either sit down, relax a little bit, and then shoot up. Or you can go straight from there right up. So, you're here, Allahu Akbar, and you're up. You got it? Just depends. But sometimes people are not strong enough to go straight up. He needs to sit and then go up from there. All good. You come back up. Notice, I didn't do any of this. Straight back up from there. That's Allahu Akbar. Stay up and you've started your salah. This is now what? Your second rak'ah. Your second rak'ah. And you do the very same thing we did with the first. So, go down, ruku', Sami' Allahu liman hamidah, hands up, then Allahu Akbar, and then you say your dhikr, then Allahu Akbar, and then Allahu Akbar, and then Allahu Akbar, of course, giving each one its time for the bones to return. Now you need to do Tahiyyat. When you do Tahiyyat, you're sitting that very same sitting I showed you before. This one. No, not this one. This one is only for between the two sujood. Not for the first Tahiyyat. For the first Tahiyyat, this is your only option now. Bas. Sitting on the left and pegging the right toes facing the Qibla. Now, for the Tahiyyat, the first Tahiyyat, the Tashahhud, you have your hands, this one, here, and this one is here, like this. Hala. For this one, you can either close them all and put this one up. Close them all and put this one up, and it rests on your thigh. Or you can close these two and circle between the thumb and the middle finger, like that. And then you rest it. So see that? So you got either close them all like that, or like this. Or you can just like that. No problems. Fingers facing the Qibla like this, gripping onto this, and you begin. At-Tahiyyatu lillah. But the more correct to the Sunnah would be like this. This is the correct and the most authentic would be to have circle the thumb with the middle finger, and you raise the index finger and you say At-Tahiyyatu lillahi was-salawatu wat-tayyibatu. By the way, here you're looking at the finger. Not now here or in front, at the finger. At-Tahiyyatu lillahi was-salawatu wat-tayyibatu. Assalamu alayka ayyuha an-nabiyyu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alayna wa ala ibadillahi as-salihin. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Bas. If you want to add Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad in the first, you may do so, no problems. You can add. And you can say Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka hamidun majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka hamidun majid. And while you're doing that, you look at the finger. This finger as well, you may move it up and down like this. If you see people moving it, leave them. That's right. If you don't want to move it, don't move it. If you want to put it down, you can put it down. Won't affect the validity, your salat is correct. Couple more things and we're finished. Now we want to go up to the third rak'ah. Let's say your salah is going to end here, you will just end it. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Still up. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. That's if it's 2 rak'at al-fajr or the sunnah or so on. But if you're going up to the third, you will now go Allahu Akbar. Pay attention. And you go back up here. So now, this raising of the hand happens only 4 times in the prayer. 4 times. When you start the salat, every time you go down to ruku', every time you come up from ruku', and you'll raise it 1 more time, and that is for the 3rd rak'ah. For the 3rd rak'ah. That's it. You got it? So if you're coming up for the 2nd rak'ah, do you do this? La. So if this is my first, Allahu Akbar. That's for my 2nd rak'ah. If you're coming up for your 3rd, after the tahiyyat, you come up, Allahu Akbar. So there's a total of 4 times in where you raise the hand, and these are the 4 times. Finally, you'll pray your 3rd and your 4th the way we've done. We've come to the end of the salah now. And we're going to sit a special sitting. For the first one, it's called the Tashahhud al-Awwal, the first Tashahhud. The last one, which only comes after al-Maghrib, it comes at the end of the Maghrib because that's the 2nd Tashahhud, it comes at the end of al-Dhuhr, al-Asr, al-Isha. That's called al-Jalsa al-Akhira, the final sitting of the Salah. And we do something called al-Tawarruk. Al-Tawarruk is this. Al-Tawarruk is to now have your backside flat, straight on the ground. Your left foot is coming from underneath your right. The right is pegged and the toes are facing the Qibla exactly like this. Your hands are exactly where they were from the first Tashahhud. See that? That's one version. That's one version. You can also have this like this. No problems. That's a second version that's accepted. Like that. That's a second version that is accepted. And a third version that is accepted is to have this on top of this. So, like this. See all that? These are all correct. No problems. And if all this is difficult and painful, sit the way you are comfortable in, which is this way here and this. But avoid these ones. Heidi, this one's makruh, this one. Or this one, هاك. هذا all makruh. Or at the end, command like this, makruh. All of these ones. طيب. Once you've done that, and you're sitting in that final sitting, start from here again, in this very same way, التحيات لله والصلوات والطيبات until you finish it. اللهم صل على محمد. Now is a rukn. It's a pillar, you have to say it. The minimum is اللهم صل على محمد. That's the minimum. The better, of course, is to say the entire Ibrahimiyya, which is اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد, as we said before. Once you're finished, don't leave too quick, because that moment there is a moment of an accepted dua. Your dua is accepted. If you said Allahumma ghfir li, you can ask for anything you want of this dunya, of the akhirah. And there are specific dua that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam taught Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu, that you may also say here. Allahumma inni zalamtu nafsi zulman kathira wa innahu la yaghfiru dhunuba illa anta faghfir li maghfiratan min indika warhamni innaka antal ghafurur rahim. Whatever it is, choose your own dua, stick to the dua that's in the apps that are narrated. All good. Finished now. And then you say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. And your prayer is concluded. Not Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. That's not. A full moving of the head all the way until the chin reaches the right shoulder. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. And then all the way. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. طيب. What's wrong is sometimes people do Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Had this nod in the middle. Where did it come from? Allahu a'lam. Someone introduced it and taught it to someone, and it trickled down until it became more famous than what is right. So we avoid that. Salam, and a clean salam to the other side. With that, you are finished with your salat, and you ask Allah Azza wa Jal for acceptance. Stay sitting. Astaghfirullah, atubu ilayh, astaghfirullah, atubu ilayh, astaghfirullah, atubu ilayh. Make your dhikr, your tasbih, then get up and move and ask Allah Azza wa Jal for acceptance. So with that, it finishes our very short demonstration, practical demonstration of al-wudu wa as-salat. Wa jazakum Allah khair.